Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today we are doing another real life budget. Now, I have never done a real life budget like this before. Today we're going to be talking about our reader Skye. She has submitted her financial information for us to organize inside the Budget by Paycheck method. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So as I had mentioned, let's talk a little bit about Skye, her reason why, and a little bit about her financial story. So Skye is a single mom to 6 kids. And I'm a fellow single mom, and I only have 1 kid, and that is a lot of work. So I can only imagine what that's like with 6 kids. Her story is a little bit different. Her financial story is a little bit different in the fact that she does receive state assistance for food and housing. And we have never shown a real life budget with that income inside their financial picture. So today I'm going to be making some suggestions with some of her bills, as well as another suggestion when it comes to her income. Now, this is more than just a recommendation. I feel it's an absolute need when it comes to the level of income that she is receiving. And we're going to be talking about that as well as showing you what these financial numbers look like. So let me show you the Budget by Paycheck method using Skye's financial information. All right, so Skye's why is her kids. I would like to be financially stable. So a little background. I'm a single mother of 6. I get Section 8 and food stamps. I'm an aide in the healthcare field, so my income is low. I do not receive child support, so bills are getting paid but barely. After bills are paid, anything left over is spent on things that I don't need, more of a want to impress others. At my job, I had one client, but a week ago I got a second one, so my income will go up. I'm trying to grow my emergency fund and make sinking funds so I'm prepared for the future. So I am not 100% in the know when it comes to financial aid or healthcare aids. I do know that you can work for a company or you can work for yourself and visit people's homes to do that job. So with the information that she provided me today, I'm assuming that she is going into individual homes and taking care of patients that way. So this is Skye's income. Now, before we move on to income, let's look at the Budget by Paycheck method steps. So the first one is why. The second one is tracking and categorizing your spending. So I already assume in these videos that the tracking and categorizing spending, which is step number 2 in the Budget by Paycheck method, has already been done since we were provided that information. The next is to identify regular bills. But before we get on to her regular bills, I want to talk very quickly about her income. So total monthly income is $597 a month. That does not include her Section 8 housing or her food stamps. She gets paid bi-weekly, so she's getting paid September 4th, the 18th, and then October 2nd. Now, she does have potential of making more income, but it's dependent on getting more clients for her job. So she gets $299 per paycheck. Now, if we look at her regular bills, her fixed expenses, are everything right here on this yellow sheet of paper. Now, if you're seeing it in pink, it's my recommendation that she gets rid of these expenses inside her budget. So this includes Amazon Prime for $6 and iTunes for $1. Now, to a lot of people, $7 may not seem like that much. Like it's not going to make that big of a difference. But in Skye's circumstances or situation, it's the make or break between breaking even or being in the red. So in order for Skye to break even every month, we had to find a way to decrease her expenses by at least by $7. And this is what did it for us, is getting rid of these two want items in her fixed expenses. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about being in a low income situation and the first thing that you should be doing. But that's the reason we decided to get rid of these two ones highlighted in pink. Now, with everything on this list, including the ones I decided to get rid of, her total that she was paying was $464 for her fixed expenses. The next thing is to identify your variable spending or figure out your cash envelope categories. So Skye does not have a lot of variable expenses going on. She has groceries, gas, and miscellaneous. Her groceries is 100% covered. This is what she receives in food stamp assistance. Gas is $100 a month, and miscellaneous, she sets aside $40 a month for unplanned or unexpected expenses that pop up, or whatever she is using her miscellaneous envelope for. So those are her variable expenses that need and that she wants to have included in her budget. Let's look at her savings goals. She wants to complete a $1,000 emergency fund. She already has $250 saved. She also has other goals that she wants to reach. She wants to have $600 every year for birthdays and Christmas in cash for those types of situations. So she would have to set aside $150 a month if she has just the 4 months left to save this year till January, or just 3 months, the remainder of the 3 months this year to hit that by January for Christmas of next year. So when she reached out to us, she said, hey, my goal is to have these two things saved by January. So we did list it on the sinking funds form as something that she is wanting to reach. Now, after looking at all of her different situations, her different numbers, we realized that these are going to be not realistic right now with the income that she is bringing in. And we'll go into that in a little bit further here in just a second. Let's look at her debt. All of her debt is student loans. She doesn't have credit cards or any other forms of debt. So she currently has all of these different student loans at these different interest rates. Now, the reason we have question marks on these is because Skye has not made any payments on her student loans, mainly, and she doesn't even know what her minimum payments are or what the due dates are, mainly out of fear because she doesn't have the income. She knows she doesn't have the income to make the payment. And so she hasn't found out that information. But we do have the starting balance and the interest rates here that she does owe. And I'll also be addressing her debt picture later on in this video. But that's where our starting point, that's what we're working with. Now, if we look at our budget calendar, you have something that's a little bit different. We have 3 colors going on, even though there's 2 different paychecks. So we have, if it's in pink, we have the stuff that is getting paid with that assistance money. So food stamps and her rent is covered on the 1st. She gets that housing assistance. She does get paid on the 4th and the 18th, $2.99 per paycheck. If it's in blue, she's paying these bills. If it's in green, she's paying these bills. Let's look and see what this looks like on our paycheck budget or our budget bill tracker. So with her paycheck on 9/4, she's getting the $2.99 a month for that paycheck. We're paying electric, internet, and phone. These fixed expenses equal $191. If we subtract that from the $2.99 paycheck that she's receiving, we're left with $108 left over. This is what we're going to use for those variable expenses that we talked about, which is gas and miscellaneous. Now remember, she gets this food assistance on the 1st, so that's taken care of. It's not something that we have to take out of her paycheck income. So we're gonna set aside $88 to gas and $20 to miscellaneous. That's our zero-based budget with this current paycheck that we're getting on the 4th. Now, essentially, we would do the same thing on her paycheck on the 18th, which you can see here. We're working with that $299 income. We're paying the water, the car insurance, and her utilities for her home. Those bills equal $266, leaving us just enough money to give her the rest of her gas and miscellaneous spending that she needs in her variable cash envelopes. Now, it would look the same month to month, paycheck to paycheck, as this same exact schedule. So let's talk about my recommendations. So here are the recommendations that I have for Skye, or for anyone who is working with a really, really tight budget. The first step that you need to do is to bring that financial awareness into your life. So Skye has already done that. She's aware of the current fixed expenses she has to pay, as well as the variable expenses that are a necessity that she has to have, such as gas and miscellaneous and food costs, which are currently taken care of with assistance money. With Skye's circumstance and situation, the thing that is more of a need than just a recommendation, we have to look at ways where we can increase income. We have to find an additional source of income. Now, we did mention in the beginning of this video that she does have an opportunity to earn more income by finding additional clients in the healthcare aid field that she is currently in. But another recommendation I have is going above and beyond her current field, which healthcare aides, they don't make a lot of money. Their salaries, their yearly salaries are relatively low, and if you have 6 kids, you need to find and work towards making additional income in your life. Cutting expenses can only get you so far. It's the first thing that I do recommend that you spend your time and attention and energy on, because it's the quickest way to find additional wiggle room in your budget is to attack the expenses that you do have in your life right now. But what happens when you get past that point? When there's nothing else that you can do for your expenses? Then we have to move to the other side of the equation and start looking at ways to increase income. So whether it's Skye wants to stay in the healthcare aid field or the healthcare field in general, I do recommend either finding additional clients that she can bring on board to increase income, or to go out and get a second job altogether. So whether that's working in fast food, whether that's working in a department store, whatever it may be, re-entering the job market is a must in this situation. Because here's the reason. We cannot grow and get to the level where we need to with our financial goals just staying right where we are right now. So with wanting to bring in sinking funds for Christmas and birthdays, wanting to tackle debt, which is going to be my next recommendation here in a minute, we will not get there with the current level of income that we do have. And that has to be the biggest change that I am seeing here today with this situation. So re-entering that job market, or even possibly getting more clients, or whatever that may look like in Skye's life, we have to put in that conscious effort to increase income. The second thing is debt. One of the scariest things about our debt is knowing we have to pay it, but also knowing consciously we don't have the money to pay it. So what happens is, in our minds, it almost like it scares us off from taking action on what we need to do. So student loans is a big thing where if you don't pay, eventually it could get to the point where they're actually taking from your paychecks to make that payment. So it could go from bad to really, really bad, really, really quickly. So it's important to address it, even though it is scary. There are a ton of programs out there with student aids, such as forbearance, forgiveness, income-based repayment plan, especially if you are on federal student loans. Okay, if you have federal student loans, there are programs that can help you if you are a low income earner or individual. So there are options out there to help you, but the worst thing that you can do is set it aside and forget it. Because here's what's happening. They're growing, they're not decreasing because student loans have interest. And if we're not at least paying attention to the interest that it's making us pay that's adding to our loans, they're just going to increase and get worse over time, which is then going to put you in a bigger hole that you have to tackle later on. So we need to get over that fear and at least take the step to call and ask the question and say, hey, I know I have these student loans. Can you please tell me a little bit more about them? What are my interest rates? When is my due date? What is my minimum payment? Get that basic information about your debt in front of your face, because you can't create that game plan to pay them off if you don't know any information about the debt you're wanting to pay off, if that makes sense. So the first recommendation, get rid of the couple expenses that I talked about here. Okay, our income is too low to have those types of luxury spending going on in our budgets because it's taking away, like I said, in Skye's circumstance and situation, it's literally between breaking even and being in the red. $7 is that line. So it does make a huge difference to get rid of those two fixed expenses in our budget. The next is look for ways to increase income. So is there other healthcare aides that she knows, that she associates with, that she could reach out and say, hey, do you have any leads for me? Are there any possible clients that you could refer me or recommend to me where I can reach out? Are there other areas or fields in the healthcare field that I can jump into with the knowledge and background and skills that I already do possess as a healthcare aide? Or is it going to become time for her to say, you know what, I'll keep the healthcare aide job that I have. Now, when we looked at the information, she lives in North Carolina, where the minimum wage is only $7.25. So she is almost working full-time, but not completely. So we have to look at other areas. Maybe, like I said, it's going out and doing a completely different job right now, temporarily, because even a couple $100, $300 to $400 extra a month in this situation can have a really big difference. It's basically between not doing anything about our student loans or making a student loan payment. So it can make a really big difference in this situation. The next recommendation I have is tackle that debt. Now, when I say tackle that debt, it doesn't necessarily always mean make an extra debt payment or make a debt payment. Part of tackling your debt is bringing that financial awareness to your life where you know what debt you have. And that's a huge critical step. For me, it was getting over that fear factor and just diving in and saying, you know what, no more. I can't tackle it if I don't know what it is that I'm tackling. So those are my three biggest recommendations when it comes to Skye's budget and what I showed you in today's Budget by Paycheck method using her financial numbers. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe.